Hi everybody, it's Mrs Cosgrove here from Year 5. Now tonight's story is about George, who's an extremely smart giant, but not only is he smart, but he's very, very kind. And that really fits in nicely with this week's theme of kindness. How could you be kind to somebody? Let's find out what George does. So this story is called The Smartest Giant in Town. It's been written by Donaldson and illustrated by Scheffler. Now George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of trousers, the same pair of sandals, and the same patched up gown. Oh, I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes. So he bought a smart white shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart black belt, a smart stripy tie, some very smart socks with diamonds up the sides, and a pair of very smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. Now George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. Oh, what's the matter? Asked George. Well, it's my neck, said the giraffe. It's just so very, very long and so very, very cold. I do wish I had a long warm scarf. Oh, cheer up, said George, and he took off his stripy tie. He didn't really match my socks anyway, he told the giraffe as he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. It did make a wonderful scarf. Oh, thank you, said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town. And off he went. Soon he came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. Oh, what's the matter? Asked George. It's my sail, said the goat. It blew away in a storm. I just wish I had a strong new sail for my boat. Oh, cheer up, said George, and he took off his new white shirt. It kept coming untucked anyway, he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail. Oh, thank you, said the goat. So George strode on singing to himself. My tie's a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down. I am the smartest giant in town. Next, George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. Oh dear, what's the matter? Asked George. Oh, it's our house, squeaked Mother Mouse. It's burned down and now we've got nowhere to live. Oh, I wish we had a nice new house. Oh, cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. This was giving me blisters anyway, he said, as the mouse and her baby scrambled inside. The shoe made a perfect home for them. Oh, thank you, they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind, because as he hopped, he sang to himself. My tie's a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down. I'm still the smartest giant in town. As George came to a campsite, beside a tent, there was a fox who was crying. Oh dear, what's the matter? Asked George. It's my sleeping said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle. Oh, I do wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag for tonight. Oh, cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his socks with diamonds up the sides. Oh, it was tickling my toes anyway, he said. And he struggled and wiggled, and the fox went inside. It made the finest sleeping bag. Oh, thank you, said the fox. So George carried on, hopping along, singing to himself. My tie's a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe's a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town. Now, George came to a big squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I just need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry path. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his smart new belt. Oh, it was squashing my tum a bit anyway, he said, as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. Oh, thank you, said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on singing to himself. I bet you guess what he's singing, don't you? My tie's a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe's a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing the bog. But my trousers are falling down. I'm not the smartest giant in town. I'm the coldest giant in town. And suddenly George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'm going to have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes. So he turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. Now when he got there, it was closed. Oh no, thought George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt just as sad as all the animals that he'd met on his way home. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something very familiar poking out of the top. George took a closer look. Wow, it's my gown, my dear old gown, and my sandals. George put them on. Oh, they felt so comfy. Do you know, he said, I'm the cosiest giant in town. And he danced all the way back home along the road. And outside his front door stood all the animals that he'd helped that day. They were carrying an enormous present. Come on, George, he said, open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, your tie's a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a log. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. So there we have it. Our smartest giant in town was also so kind, but look how all his friends appreciated it. Anyway, time for bed now. Night night, snuggle down, see you soon. Bye.